Welcome back. As promised, let's get chatting with the management of Precision Camshafts, and this is important primarily because there seems to be a fair amount of interest in the stock. Yesterday it saw a bit of a drop of almost 11%, but today, this morning itself, it's locked in upper circuit. And if you take a look at a longer term stock price move, it's moved almost 150% from the start of this year. So that's about Precision Camshaft. In the last 12 months, it's up 238%. What's explaining this buzz? We do have the management with us, Yatin Shah, who's the chairman, managing director and promoter at the company, joining in now. Thanks a lot, Yatin, for joining in. The first question is just that. What explains this sort of buzz in your company by the street? Is there something new that you're doing? You have the EV push, there is chip shortage. At the same time, are you doing any sort of capex? Can you explain what's happening?
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I think what's primarily happening is we've been able to show some exciting avenues in the EV sector that we are in. Plus, the parent company business has been pretty stable, and I think it's a recognition of the last few quarters where we've been consistently posting good results.
Okay.
I mean, sorry.
Okay, all right. So you're saying nothing new has happened, but it seems the market is quite excited. So let's take that point forward then. You said you've been posting good results. I'm looking at it. And at the half-year mark, you've done around 420 crores in terms of revenues. That's a good growth, though on a low base. Your best year, I think, was FY20 when you did around 750 crores. Now, if I annualize your first half performance, you should do around 850 to 900 crores. Is that possible for this year? And also, margins have been all over the place, from sub 10% to around 25%. In the last quarter, you've done 14%. What should be the margin band from here on? I'm talking about the consolidated entity. Go ahead, Mr. Shah.
I think if you look at the run rate that we're having on the revenues, like you said, it's 420 crores for the first 2 quarters. I think if we extrapolate this, we should be in that band which we should exceed last year, definitely for sure. As far as margins are concerned, yes, we've been going. There's been a bit of an oscillation, but I think there are several factors to that. Margins would remain pretty stable as we move forward in the band that we are right now in.
Mr. Shah, all right, Mr. Shah, then tell us, you didn't give us a number. You said you'll be better than last year, but your best year was FY20. Will you be better than that? And secondly, margin band, the numbers that we're looking at, FY21 was 9%. You had 22% in FY17 as well. Quarterly, we've seen margins at around 26, 27% as well. So can you narrow that band for us?
I think if you look at it, on a consolidated basis, we would be roughly around the range of 14 to 15% EBITDA, and obviously the PAT margins would be in the range of what we have done right now, between 5 to 8%. So that is where we look at on a consolidated basis. On the standalone basis, obviously we are about 20% or 22% EBITDA, and about exceeding 12% on PAT level basis. So I think that's where it is as far as today is concerned.
Okay.
So.
Okay, all right. So we got that. You're giving us a fair bit of numbers, Mr. Shah. So 14 to 15% of operating margins on a consolidated basis. So we get that. But the revenue number, 850 to 900 crores, doable?
If things go right, I mean, there is. If you've got to take a pinch of salt out here, we have COVID coming up again in Europe. There's a large amount of uncertainty. Again, there is uncertainty regarding the semiconductors, which is still not shaping up the way it is. So with all these uncertainties, it would be very difficult to comment on whether the last 2 quarters would remain in the same margin as we are.
Okay.
But we are extremely hopeful because the market has pent-up demand and there's a lot of requirement coming up.
Okay. Right, but FY22 will be the best year in terms of revenues. The previous best was 750 crores. So putting the uncertainty of COVID, putting the uncertainty of the chip shortage, at least 800 crores is doable, right?
Doable.
All right, take that point. Let's talk about the EV space now. On EMOS, you were looking at tying up with local players in India. Who have you tied up with? Can you give us some sense? And also the important part is the ARAI approval. Has that come by?
I think the ARAI approval has come through. We have the vehicle now approved and out on thing. So the next 6 months, this vehicle will fly on the road, collect a lot of data, and with that, we would then be ready to go to various different market segments and talk to various potential customers. One among them is the state of Maharashtra, to whom we presented this venture. I think they're pretty impressed with what we have done. Most of them are expecting data be generated in the next 6 months. We are trying to fly this vehicle all over Maharashtra in different terrains, different conditions, and gather data to support what we have been saying is that this vehicle will run for 180 kilometers without a recharge. So I think that's one of the first things is that we are the only people who are in. We are probably the only people to demonstrate something like this so far.
Mr. Shah, right, we get it. If you could give us some numbers, what kind of revenue potential does this entail for you in the market? And secondly, you're retrofitting EVs right now. That does not get any incentives under the FAME scheme, right? So what's the cost benefit for a client?
So let's just give a little background. I think EMOS in the first year when we took it, the revenue is about 40 crores. Right now, as we end this year, we would probably be closer to 200. So I think that's a massive jump that we've seen in revenues at EMOS in Netherlands. 2022 looks very promising. There's a clear visibility of orders. In India, what we've done is to retrofit this bus, and our plans are a little different, where we want to retrofit light commercial vehicles, which are sub 3 ton, which fly goods from the warehouse outside the city into the city, so that this number or these LCVs are huge in number, and we would like to position ourselves to be a good option for these EVs.
Okay, very quickly, Mr. Shah, just to understand this, you're talking about retrofitting. So if I get that correct, you all will either be putting, you'll be putting some equipment, or you'll be putting your kit into the vehicle. So this retrofitted bus, how much cheaper is it in comparison to a new, electric vehicle bus? Is there a price difference, and also performance is as good?
Performance is as good, but I'd be hesitant to put a number. I would probably think in terms of a bus which we have evaluated, not that we have done it, but what we see from the market, there's almost a delta of about 35 to 40%.
35 to 40% is what your product will be cheaper as compared to a new electric vehicle.
That's not that we have done it, but that's what we see as an indication from whatever analysis that we have done.
But the new vehicle gets an incentive as well. So won't that normalize the discount that you're talking about?
Well, not to the extent of the delta that is there.
All right.
So even taking into account the incentive, still you'll be around 30-40% cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be 30-40% cheaper. Obviously, the incentive needs to be removed from the 30-40%. But that's again a segment that we haven't really established. This is the analysis we've done, and I think that's what we're trying to figure out as to positioning ourselves.
Okay.
Saying that we can provide a vehicle probably at a much competitive price than on diesel.
Okay, we look forward to chatting with you again and understanding this, in the future as well. For the time being, it seems the market is excited about the electric vehicle foray, and that's why, in fact, you're seeing a bit of an electrified mode today. The stock, in fact, is up close to around 18.5%.